The cool thing about entrepreneurship is that you're the boss, okay? And you have the right to change your prices whenever you want to. Up the price, baby. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Erin, and this is Erin On Demand, a place for entrepreneurs and content creators looking to build your brand, business, and impact. And y'all, today we are talking about them coins, okay? We're talking about pricing as a startup entrepreneur, and this is something that I feel is a tough topic to talk about. Pricing is a really tricky thing, and as I've kind of gotten a little bit more experience with my own pricing and just learning over the course of my entrepreneurship journey, negotiating, I have gotten a better understanding of how pricing works and factors that can determine how you should maneuver your pricing. I just want to start by saying that when I first started Erin On Demand, my prices were definitely way different than what they are now. When I first started, I would do consultations for people who were interested in video production or like branded video work. And I did charge a small fee for my consultations because at that point, people could either choose whether or not they wanted to work with me. And I was spending a lot of time on these consultations, and I just didn't want people to run with it, and I had nothing in return. So I charged a small fee for my consultations, and it also kind of prevents you from just kind of going on this rat race with people, them canceling or them not answering the phone for the call. And I felt that with me taking on entrepreneurship full time, I didn't have the time or the energy or really the bandwidth to be able to take on anything that I wasn't receiving even a small compensation from. Now, when it came to my actual production work, I charged a lot less than I do now because I wanted to build my portfolio. You know, I had a great resume, but I wanted stuff that was under Erin On Demand. And so I was charging, a much smaller rate for my services than I am now. So I want to go through some things, some factors that may determine how your pricing may fluctuate as you, an entrepreneur, evolve and as your business evolves. The first thing is target audience. And I know, y'all, it's like the most hated words because it's like, oh, here we go again with this target audience stuff. But it really does matter. So say you want to start a membership club for college students or startup entrepreneurs. That price that you are going to determine is the monthly fee for that should be significantly less than if you're targeting seven-figure entrepreneurs looking to scale their business or doctors looking to branch out and start their own practice. These people are more than likely in two totally different financial situations. So someone who's a startup entrepreneur may not have as much money to spare or may not be in a certain tax bracket that someone like a seven-figure CEO who's looking to scale or a doctor who's looking to start their own practice may be in. Aside from that too, there is something to say about pricing when it is too low or too high to the point where it doesn't make sense. For a doctor who's looking to start their own practice, $200 a month may be a great benchmark. $20 a month may seem too low for them because it's like, am I really gonna get as much value as I want to out of this? So pricing really does say something in terms of how much value people think they're getting in return. Even if the value is the same in terms of the information they receive, but the price can kind of change your mindset to think you're getting more for your money. Another thing that can help you determine your pricing is audience size. And this has had a huge impact on my pricing for two reasons. But the first reason is that when you have certain financial goals in place, you're able to see the numbers play out. You can kind of sketch how your numbers will play out. So I'll use the eBrand Club, for example. If the eBrand Club costs $20 a month, it's now $30 a month. But for math purposes, I'm going to use $20. If the eBrand Club costs $20 a month and my goal for that stream of income was to make $1,000 a month, I would need 50 people in the club. And if I had a smaller audience, that would be a great goal to set. If I have a smaller audience and my goal is to still make $1,000 a month, the likeliness I can probably get 20 people in, then maybe I would charge $50 a month for the club because, you know, I still want to hit certain financial goals. So you have to determine, like, if your audience is very big, I think that it is good to err on the side of a more reasonable price because you're gonna have more people invest in it and you have a wider audience to pull from. If you have a smaller audience, I'm not saying that that gives you the right to charge a lot, but I think that you can kind of play around with your numbers and look at your financial goals and see what makes sense. If you do have that smaller audience, you may want to pack more value in the membership club or in your products and charge a little bit more so that you're still able to hit those financial goals. So the next factor that can weigh into your pricing is your time. And as I have grown in my business, grown on social media and on YouTube, my time has become so much more limited. Now, by the hour, I do have to charge more for strategy calls. My strategy calls now are $250 an hour because if I still charged $50 an hour for a consultation, I would have no time to get anything else done. I'm sure that I will have consultations 24/7. And so you really have to weigh out how much are people willing to invest? What is my time really worth? If I wasn't spending an hour talking to this person, what could I be doing with my time? How much could I be making? And the more demand you have on your time, the more you should be charging. So once I become a mother and have a mortgage, those are things that are pulling my time. It's not even all about just what you're working on. It's like motherhood, having a mortgage, having a car note, having bills. Your time needs to be able to pay for those things. I definitely would say that time is something you should heavily weigh in to your pricing. And y'all, you have to be realistic with this. You cannot be saying like, oh, my time is not worth it, or, you know, charging an astronomical amount for, you know, reasons that may not necessarily be valid. So you want to make sure that you're really diligent with your time and understanding what is my time truly worth? What is the exchange of value that people are going to get for that time? So for that $250 strategy call, people know, like I know that I have to bring my A game on those calls. I am fully locked in. I always make sure that whomever I was on the call with really had a great experience. You know, I just want to make sure that that time is well worth the exchange so that they feel like, okay, I spent $250 on this, but I have very clear direction on where I'm going in my business or what my brand should be looking like. I just want you guys to also know that even though time, everybody's time is precious, and I totally understand that, but you also have to be realistic on what is the exchange of that time that you are providing. Okay, so the next factor that can weigh on your pricing is your trade. So if you have a very specialized trade, then obviously you can charge a lot more for that. Like doctors, for example, like they put so much time and energy into becoming a doctor, which is why they get paid a ton of money. Like if you are an SEO guru and you literally can help companies tenfold their business, their online business, because you are a master at all of the SEO tricks and tactics you go in behind the website and do, that is a very specialized trade that gives a very high return on investment. So you can charge thousands of dollars, I'm sure, to businesses because your specialty is so niche. It's more rare to find people who are actually really, really strong at search engine optimization. Or if you build websites, that is also another high valued skill that a lot of people don't know how to do on their own. So if it is something like that, then obviously you can charge more for your services. So really evaluate like, what really is my skill set? Is this something that is harder to come by but has a high demand? The next factor is experience. And the more experience you have, the more you can charge. I mean, it's pretty simple and straightforward because When you don't have as much experience, the trust factor is going to be very low and the risk factor is very high for people. So now, once you start giving some results and you have testimonials on your site and people have proof of your work, so if you are a videographer or you're a photographer or whatever, and you have now a portfolio where people can look at your work and say, oh yeah, she's really good, or he's bomb, or she's dope, or whatever, then that also really helps people to justify paying you a certain amount for your products or your services. The next thing is value or accessibility of this information. If you have information that is very rare or hard to come by, like how to find the best manufacturer for, product production or whatever, like that is some rare information. People do not give you their manufacturers. They're very picky about telling you what the whole manufacturing process is. If you have a service where you provide people with that information, you may be able to charge a little bit more because, one, you're saving them time, you're saving them energy, you're saving them money from trying all these different manufacturers and losing money. If it is a rare knowledge or you have access to something that is in high demand but few people have the information, then that is something you can also up the price, baby. Everything is like basic economics, supply and demand. And if you can, if you have a high demand, your prices will probably go up. Or if there's a very high demand for the information or the services that you provide, then you can base your pricing on a higher level. But I would say, for the most part, ask around, do some research on what is the median range of pricing for this line of work, because everything is going to be pretty different. I will also ask your audience. So if you are providing a service, ask people like, what would you be willing to pay for a website? Or what would you be willing to pay for a photo shoot or monthly photo shoot sessions for influencers? What would people be willing to pay for your services? Because they're also going to factor in how skilled they think you are and what they know of you. And a lot of pricing comes from what your audience is honestly willing to pay. So I think a good base or a good starting point would be to ask your audience. I don't care how big or how small it is. You can ask a group of friends, like, how much would you guys be willing to pay for this? And I think that will help you get an understanding of where your target audience's mind is at as it pertains to paying for certain things. I say when you're first starting, err on the lower side, because it is a higher risk for people who are buying into something that they have no proof is going to work. And then once you have a portfolio built up of, your work and proof that it actually does work, then you can begin to raise your pricing. And that may be in the span of 90 days. Like, you raise your prices 90 days after starting your business. I'm not saying do that specifically, but it doesn't have to be a long time that you keep your prices set there. The cool thing about entrepreneurship is that you're the boss, okay? And you have the right to change your prices whenever you want to. So I have changed prices many times throughout my entrepreneurship journey, and I've only been in business for about a year and a half. My eBrand club pricing went up because the demand of the club really spiked, and I felt like there was so much value in the club after a certain point that it wasn't fair to people who had paid $20, from July. And now there are people coming in January, and they have access to all of the content, all of the past live lessons, master classes that we've done since July. And they can honestly come in and binge watch a whole lot more content that they're just starting to pay for in January. So I felt that it was fair to up the price by just a little $10 more, and people have access to a wealth of information. So if you are interested in the eBrand Club, I will leave all of the information down below, and strategy calls, I will also leave those down below. But you guys, don't be scared to change your pricing up. Your audience, if they want your value, they will pay. I promise you. And I was honestly nervous to raise the price of the eBrand Club because I'm like, I don't know if people are going to continue joining. And guess what? People are still joining, because guess what? It is worth it. So you also have to have the confidence in yourself to know that you are charging the right pricing. And obviously, if there are drastic dips in your sales because you've raised your pricing too much, then that is something that you want to reevaluate. But in general, I would say assess these factors and really look at your financial goals that you have for yourself and what pricing makes sense. Draw out, I'm using a membership club because it's the easiest and I have that. If you want to make a certain amount, figure out how many members you will need to get to hit that financial goal. And does that make sense for your audience size? Does that make sense for your skill set and your experience? And really just try to do some number crunching to make it make sense for you and to set some reasonable goals for yourself. I hope this was helpful. I know pricing is tricky, and I just wanted to kind of give my insight on how to maneuver in the pricing arena, okay? If you guys have any questions on pricing, please leave them in the comments below. Please, no questions on, do you think this price is too much or too little for this service? But more general questions about my experiences or some challenges you're having with pricing is definitely something that I'm super willing to answer in the comments. I love you guys. If you want to be a part of my internet home, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button or the notification bell. I upload every Wednesday and most Sundays, and I would love to have you because I just love it up in here, okay? I will talk to you guys later. I hope you have a good one. Peace.